Hello everybody and welcome back to the second shelf. It's the 1st of May today, the start of a new month, and that means a video about the new releases, May TBRs. If you're following my channel for a while, you know that TBR for me doesn't mean to be read, but to be released. So I'm looking at new releases and I pick a couple that I think are interesting. And that was not easy because, as you might know, May is new books heaven and hell because I don't think there's any month in the year that so many books are published than in May. So I had quite a difficult time, but I picked 4 that I want to talk to you about. And the first book I want to talk to you about is in the category literary fiction, and it's a debut novel. As you know, I'm always interested in discovering new voices, new authors, and that's Linda Smolkin Among the Branded. Linda Smolkin worked in marketing and communications, and on her website she states that she always wanted to be a writer, and so tomorrow, 2nd of May, her first novel will be published. The novel is about a woman, Stephanie Britton, who is an art director, and she goes through over a flea market, and there she discovers a stack of letters from the Second World War, French letters, and she starts to translate them. She thinks they are love letters maybe, but obviously she discovers some hidden secret in one of these letters, and the story takes off from there. So from what I understand, it's a mixture of discovery, a little bit of suspense, and the idea of discovering old letters that did it for me. So I requested a book from the publisher, and they kindly sent me a copy. So that's one of the releases that I'm interested in the category literary fiction and debut novel. And the second book is in the category historical fiction of sorts, because it's a retelling of Greek myth, and that's Nathalie Haynes, The Children of Jocasta. Will be published on the 4th of May. I think it already came out in the US in April, but the publication date that I saw was the 4th of May, so the book is in the video of the May TBR. Nathalie Haynes is a British author who had been on my radar for some time, but somehow I never picked up a book. But I love a good retelling of Greek mythology. So when I saw The Children of Jocasta, I thought, now is the time I will finally read a book by Nathalie Haynes. The next book I picked is in the category crime, and even better, true crime. And it's another debut novel, and that is Sarah Schmidt, See What I Have Done. Sarah Schmidt is an Australian author. She wrote a blog for a long time, and she also published short stories. But this is, like I said, her first book, and it's all about the Lizzie Borden case. You might be familiar with that. Lizzie Borden was charged with a double murder in 1892 when Lizzie Borden's father and her stepmother were viciously murdered. They were cut to pieces with an axe. The case was very famous at the time, and a lot of media attention, even in the late 1900s. And Lizzie Borden was acquitted, and nobody else was ever charged for the murder. So you don't know we don't know who committed them, whether Lizzie Borden was innocent or not. And when I saw the case, and that it's another debut novel and from an Australian author, I thought I had to pick that for my May TBR. And the fourth and last book I want to talk to you about is science fiction, because what is a TBR without at least one science fiction novel? And that's also a debut novel, and that is Megan Hunter's The End We Start From. Megan Hunter was born in 1984 in Manchester and now lives in Birmingham. And The End We Start From is a dystopian sci-fi novel set in England, in a flooded London, where a young woman gives birth to her first child. The child is called Zed, and she and her child have to flee the city, and they move from shelter to shelter. And that sounded, interesting, and it's a debut, so that's why I picked it. By the way, if you're wondering about the constant light change in this video, it's because it's April and we have a mixture of thunderstorm and darkness and sun, so the light changes. Anyway, those were my 4 picks for my May TBR, and as always in those videos I also want to mention a channel if you are interested in new releases but you don't want to, you know, go through all the publisher sites and look for new releases. There are a couple of channels I mentioned last time: Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, and Steve from Steve Donahue, and Simon, of course, from Savage Reads, who always you know, show you and haul new releases. And this time I want to add another channel, and that's Eric from The Lonesome Reader. I will leave a link to his channel down below because he also is interested in new releases, and he always hauls interesting books that are just released or about to be released. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention about Megan Hunter's book. The book will be published a little later in the month, 18th of May, and only as an ebook. The hardcover, English hardcover edition will come out only in November, so I will probably buy the ebook. But the book has been sold and will be published in May, also in Germany, in Holland, I think in France and in Australia. So I'm looking forward to reading it. Anyway, this was it for my May TBR, books to be released in May. Let me know whether you are interested in reading any of the 4 books I mentioned, or whether there are other new releases in May that you are excited about and want to read. I hope you've enjoyed my pick. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye bye!